Welcome to the explainer. All right, let's talk about something that trips up so many people. RAM versus storage. What's the deal? By the time we're done here, you're going to be a pro. So let's kick things off with the question that probably, let's be honest, brought you here. You've gone on a cleaning spree, right? Deleted photos, uninstalled apps you never use. You've got tons of free space. So why? Why is your phone still acting like it's wading through molasses? It's a super common and super annoying problem. Well, here's the thing. The answer has pretty much nothing to do with how much stuff you've saved on your phone. It all comes down to understanding that your device is juggling two totally different kinds of memory, and they each have their own very specific job. Okay, to make this super simple, let's use an analogy. Ready? Think of RAM as your desk, the actual surface you work on. And then you have storage. That's your backpack. It's where you stuff everything else for later. All right, so let's zoom in on that first idea, RAM. Just stick with me on the desk analogy. The bigger your desk, the more books and papers and stuff you can spread out and work on at the same time, right? Well, that is exactly what RAM is for your phone or computer. So the techie term is RAM, which stands for Random Access Memory. And you only need to remember two things about it. It's crazy fast and it's totally temporary. The second you restart your device, poof, everything in RAM is gone. It's like wiping your desk clean at the end of the day. So what's the big takeaway here? RAM is all about what's happening right now. It's the magic that lets you jump from your messages to a website or pause a game to take a call, all without that horrible, stuttering lag. It's basically the engine that makes everything feel smooth and quick. And this is where it all clicks. This is why your phone feels so slow. If you have low RAM, it's like you're working on a tiny little coffee table. If you want to open a new book, you have to close the one you're reading and put it away first. That's what's happening when your apps have to constantly reload. But more RAM? That's like having a giant executive desk. Everything can stay open and ready to go instantly. Okay, so we've got the desk sorted. Now let's talk about the other half, storage. And yeah, we're going back to the analogy. If RAM is your active workspace, storage is that big backpack you lug around. It's where you keep everything you own, your textbooks, your lunch, all of it. Now, the key difference here? Unlike RAM, storage is permanent. It's the long-term home for all your digital stuff. Your files live there safely even when you turn the phone off. So when you download an app or snap a photo, it's going straight into that backpack, into storage. And yeah, this is where everything you want to keep goes. It is literally your digital backpack, just stuffed with all your photos, your videos, all your apps and games, you name it. So you can see how the problems you get with low storage are completely different from low RAM, right? When you run out of storage, your phone doesn't get slow. It just stops you from saving new things. You get that dreaded storage full message. It just means your backpack is literally stuffed to the brim. You can't fit another thing in it. And this brings us right to the heart of the whole confusion. So many people mix up the symptoms of a full backpack with the symptoms of having a tiny desk. We're going to clear that up for good right now. I mean, we've all been there, right? You're shopping for a new phone, and the biggest, boldest numbers they advertise are always the storage. 128 gigs, 256, 512. So you naturally think, hey, bigger number must mean a faster, better phone. But nope, that's just not how it works. Think about it. Buying a bigger backpack doesn't magically make the desk you're working on any larger, does it? So here's the bottom line, this simple breakdown. Your device's speed, how fast and responsive it feels, that's all about the RAM and the processor. The space, how much stuff you can actually keep, that's storage. They're two totally separate jobs. Okay, so now that you know all this, how does it help you in the real world? Like when you're buying a new phone, how do you make a smart choice? What are the numbers you should actually be looking for? For most people these days, I'd say 8 gigabytes of RAM is kind of the sweet spot. That's going to give you a really smooth, seamless experience for all your day-to-day stuff. And for storage, 128 gigs is probably fine for a lot of folks, but honestly, 256 is a much safer bet, especially if you shoot a lot of video. But what if you're a power user? You're a big-time gamer, maybe you edit video on your phone, or you're just one of those people who has like 50 browser tabs open at once. Then yeah, you're going to want to aim higher. Look for 12 gigs of RAM or even more to keep everything buttery smooth. And you'll probably want at least 512 gigs of storage for all those giant game files and 4K videos. So look, if you walk away from this remembering just one thing, let it be this. RAM is for speed, storage is for space. Prioritize RAM for smooth experience, and then pick your storage based on how much of a digital hoarder you are. At the end of the day, it really does just come back to that simple analogy. A slow, laggy phone is almost always because you have a tiny desk. It's not because your backpack is too full. And that's it. That's the difference. So now that you're an expert, go on, check your phone's settings. How much RAM are you actually working with? Now that you know, does it maybe explain a thing or two about how your device performs? I'm curious. Let us know what you find out. Thanks for hanging out with us.